First of all, what I want to emphasize in your life is to always make sure you have enough water. We have regular water, soda water, it's all fine. But let's stay away from the sodas and the juices and just try to really hydrate with water. If you have it throughout the rest of the day, it all counts. Coffee, tea, and those beverages, maybe at night or having a drink, it is offset by the amount of water that you have through the day. So the current recommendation is maybe 6 to 8 glasses a day, but just try to get some in again. It doesn't have to be on top of everything at all times. Just make sure it's in your diet. So we want to start our morning off, we hear, with fruits and vegetables. Berries have just the right amount to give you the energy you need in the morning. We know now an apple a day does keep the doctor away. It's filled with compounds that actually protects the immune system and helps boost.
My next guest, Patricia Greenberg, is a one-woman powerhouse. She's a nutritionist who also holds a degree in culinary arts from Le Cordon Bleu. She's a certified fitness expert in sports nutrition and senior fitness. She is a fellow YouTuber and broadcaster with her very own show called Eat Well, Live Well, Age Well. She's on a mission to make sure that people know it's okay to be old. That's her slogan. It's okay to be old.
Now, I know it's never too late to find love and romance, and sex is good for you in so many ways. It helps us connect to one another, it calms the body and the mind, and having an intimate relationship helps us see the world through happier eyes. I invited my friend Amy Riley. She's a culinary expert and author of Fork Me, Spoon Me, and the sensual cookbook, Eat Cake Naked. I want to hear all about that later, too. Welcome, Amy.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
This is wonderful. We need some fun and happiness in our lives today, right? There's so much going on.
Yes.
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 One of the age-old misconceptions about sexual health and sensual pleasure is that it ends after 50, right? I mean, that's the biggest misconception. But we know nothing can be further from the truth. And I'm so happy to have you here to talk all about food and lifestyle that can enhance your sex life at any age.
You are watching Profundo TV with host Phyllis Haynes.
What about this topic? It's okay to be old. What is that about? Is it okay to be old? I'm not feeling it, to be honest with you, that it's okay to be old.
It's so okay to be old. And I know the topic, the title is a little bit tongue in cheek, but what I really am trying to do with It's Okay to Be Old is let people know that it's okay to be whatever age you are, to be okay with where you are in life right now. And the term old, I'm trying to reframe that. And that's why I named the book and named my movement, It's Okay to Be Old, because we hear old and we hear diminished, decrepit, marginalized, all those things that people feel about being old. So real quick frame of reference is what we thought was old when we were younger is changing. And I'd like to change the attitude that people have towards that word old and say old is just a term like a teenager, an adolescent, a baby, a teen, middle age. Old is just part of the life cycle. It should not be in any way a negative connotation. So what is old? Historically, it was 65 and older based on Social Security Act of 1933. And now we have all these people in their 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s doing extraordinary things. And I want to open that up. And I want to show the world that you can live a full, rich, exciting life. You can start all over again. You can find love. You can find a new hobby at any age. And what I really want to encourage people is to find people who make you feel good about being that age. And part of that is starting out by embracing it. Right now, this is the age I'm at. This is where I live. This is my health status. This is what I'm doing. Do I like it? Do I don't like it? That's how we address being old or being an older adult. Older adult is kind of the more accepted term right now for it. So that's the gist is is being okay with where you are at any given moment.
Well, you're full of wonderful tools and ideas, obviously, your books. You're giving a summit on this topic. What's the summit going to be about?
Great question. It's a kickoff. I'm starting I call it kind of a speakers series, but it also comes together bringing people, older adults and hopefully young people. I don't want to dismiss the young people. I hope that they come along. And we're starting our kickoff in New York, and it's really about challenging stereotypes about aging and celebrating the authenticity of being older. And we hear the word wisdom. When I ask people, what do you like about getting older? They always say the wisdom that comes with it. But there's so much more. There's cutting edge science now that's teaching us about wellness as we age. I know people who I'm going to have come and attend and speak who's starting new businesses at over 60. And how do we take that hard-earned life that we lived, all the years of the good, the bad, the ugly, the hard work, the rewards, and turn that into something wonderful in our older age? I also want to connect people together. A part of it is a meetup, of getting people to come together and say, hey, there's other people like me that are happy, that are struggling, that have been through a lot, and get together. So I'm having experts come in and talk about aspects of aging that we want to learn about. But I'm also having speakers come in that talk about what it feels like to be older and accomplish something at an older age. I have someone coming in to talk about living with purpose, because as we get older, if we don't have purpose, we don't have a place to give back to. That actually is one of the sources of loneliness, is not having a place to give back, whether your children are grown, losing family members and losing that social connection. That giving back makes all the difference in the world. I really believe that aging and aging badly or aging where you're not feeling good about your age comes a lot from those relationships and those external stimuli that we have. If we don't have it and we're not engaged and we're not out in the world, that contributes to a diminished life. There's no question about it.
Well, anybody looking at you would say, oh, this 40-year-old is talking to us. What the heck does she know about the subject? So, can you talk about yourself a little bit? I mean,
Yes,
do you
I
share
am
your
going.
age?
Yes, my birthday is November 2nd, and I'm in my 60s. I'm 63, about to be 64. And I, like many other people, didn't feel it, nor did I fight it. I had my daughter at 40, and that was one of the big turning points where I was 40, and some of the mothers were 20s, some of the mothers were in their 30s. But they would actually, I mean, could you imagine in the 2000s, people were saying to me, aren't you a little old to be running marathons? Or aren't you too old to be doing that? What do you want to, don't you just want to stay home? What do you want to write more books for? And I'd be like, what are you talking about? And I was feeling ageism in my 40s. And I knew that, as I went to high school in the 70s, and we all thought 40 was ancient. We thought 30 was ancient. But as I got closer to it, I took up marathon running over 35. I was traveling. I like to share, Phyllis, too, that I'm 63 and my husband's 77, and he's still a vital force, works full time. And so are we outliers? Maybe to some degree, but the truth is, I appreciate and I thank you so much for acknowledging that I'm doing a lot for my age. It doesn't feel that way to me, but you know what that came from? I have to tell you, putting in the work in my 40s and saying, okay, I'm over 40. I have to take care of myself. I do have to eat well. I do have to exercise. But more importantly, where is my place in the world? What is it I want to do with my life? Because at 40, you feel like you're running out of time, oddly enough. And then all of a sudden, when you're in your 60s and 70s, you think, what was I thinking 30 years ago? I had all the time in the world. But every decade that we turn that next decade, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, that's when we start to look at what have we done, what haven't we done, what regrets do we have. And if you embrace your age and say, this is where I am today, it's okay to be 40, it's okay to be 50, it's okay to be old, and
Well, now I'm
embracing
going
it.
to push back a little bit because there are, it's just as you said, you experienced ageism at 40. There's a lot in our society that comes at you when you get over 65. You start getting, well, even at 50, you start getting letters from AARP. Uh, your doctor may make some comments about what you should be doing because you're getting older. And how do you psychologically deal with the whole layer that society puts on you to be a certain way? You and
Listen,
I don't
yeah,
have gray hair because we choose not to have
right,
gray
right,
hair.
right.
But there's a real pressure to suddenly have gray hair. So, you know, I'm I feel the pressure. I got to tell you.
It's a huge pressure, and there's two camps. There's the one that's telling you, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to go gray. This is the age I'm at, and if you don't like it, turn the other way. And then there's the other side that says, well, if I don't step up to the plate and I don't keep myself, looking youthful, and I don't keep working, and I don't keep myself up with the current tech or the current trends in the world, I'm going to be left behind and have nothing. And there is a happy medium. And one of my opening lines that I'll never get sick of sharing, and that is to stop caring what people think about you. So what
Mm.
does that mean? That doesn't mean go to the supermarket in your underwear because you don't care what anybody thinks anymore. But it's about letting go of how perfect your house looks and how everything has to be just right, and letting in the authenticity of who you are. And we've all experienced this. Do I look okay? Do I look old? Is somebody going to think I'm old? Do I want to go to this? Is it going to be a bunch of young people and I won't fit in? You're you and they're them, and let that in. So the not caring what people think really refers to not being nervous about who you really are. And we have spent so many years, more so with women, although I have to defend the men, of being concerned about this. And it isn't just the outwardly appearance, it's the vocabulary you use, the frame of reference in your life, your job, which may realistically become antiquated after a certain time because your job was manual, your job was handwritten, or, we all remember the secretaries would use the old typewriters. Now you press a button and somebody can write an article for you without even, any effort. So those are the kinds of things that are very startling and baffling for us, and a lot of people fight it, and rightfully so. It's a very, very big change in our lives. So let make room for the things that you want to do. I no longer care when you come in my house and there's a little dust in the corner because of the dog, that you're going to say Patricia's house is dirty, or the food wasn't good, or the dinner wasn't sitting on the plate exactly the way I wanted. How many years have we spent wasting that time?
This is a
And you don't
good
have to
question.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's very freeing. Um, and one of the things that you have and I have that makes us very lucky is that we have husbands. But
Yes.
many women who get older are becoming widows, or some may not have gotten married. Is it harder? Is there more pressure for that woman to survive the ageism? Is it more difficult to function without a mate, in your view?
Yeah, yes. And it's very interesting you say that. We're doing a whole section on that in the speakers program, and it's something I talk about a lot. I'm having someone who is a relationship coach and a dating coach for over 50. I was out with two girlfriends yesterday that are both single. One's divorced, one's never been married, exactly what you're talking about, in their 60s. And I have girlfriends in their 70s who are actually looking for love. I have male friends ranging from late 50s to mid 70s looking for a partner or a person. And here's what I tell them: people say age is just a number, or don't tell somebody how old you are, or color your hair so you look younger. All those things are aspects. I'm very against lying about your age. A friend told me he went out with a lady and she was 69 and told him she was 59. I understand why she did it. I totally get it. She was afraid he wouldn't go out with her, and he's in his mid 70s. And he says, well, if she's lying about that, what else is she lying about? And he's right. What I recommend single people look for is, what do you have in common with the person? If somebody's 77 and you both love foreign movies, or you both love to go bowling, or you both love dogs, and that's what you have in common with the person. Base it on that rather than, well, he's 77. Here's a guy who's 65. He's closer to my age, and that's better for me. No, it's not. What's better for you is to be with someone you're happy with. So you have a good 5 years with someone older is such a much more valuable experience in your life than spending years with someone unhappy.
Well, let's change gears for a minute. We've hit
Yes.
that topic really well, and I think this is going to be an exciting summit that you're
Thank
setting
you.
up for us. One of the things I notice about your background is your extraordinary culinary experience. I mean, you have a real global knowledge of nutrition and cordon bleu status, but isn't there a conflict between haute cuisine and healthy nutrition? It seems to me that those are two completely different avenues.
There used to be, and Phyllis, that's such a brilliant insight. And I'll tell you, it is absolutely amazing because I that was the struggle I had. I call myself the Hillary Clinton of culinary because, she did everything there was to do in politics and didn't make it to the presidency. I did everything I could in nutrition and fine cuisine and wine tastings and healthy eating, combining it with fitness, hospital food, medical grade nutrition. And none of them could ever come together, but now they do. Now we're seeing you can go to a fine dining restaurant and you could see the ingredients and the combinations of food have a much healthier aspect to them. Let's put it that way, because there isn't an either or. Going out and having salad with a little bit of fish is the healthy choice as opposed to the cheeseburger with French fries that's going to be harmful. Now, I really feel nutrition and haute cuisine have come together, and you can really find the combination of the two. Well made, well prepared, delicious, fabulous nutrition food is much more available in restaurants, in supermarkets, even pre-prepared food. So I feel like those of us who were the pioneers really made a difference in the world. And I hope that that was one of my contributions and my legacy is that I made a difference for young people going forward to see that you can eat good and eat well at the same time. So it's an excellent question. I can't say that across the board it's perfect, but it's come together and they do seem really far apart, but the world is coming together on that. I will share, I was just in Europe. I attended a conference called the Silver Economy International Festival, and it was all about how European countries are handling the aging population. And one of the things I noticed was that they pay a lot of attention in Europe. I saw it in restaurants as well as what was going on in the conference, and some of the presenters were talking about how to get healthy food into older adults. But I even saw in the restaurants that it's not just the healthy food, it's the rich, beautiful ingredients, even in the small cafes that aren't so expensive. And at the hotel buffet, they're making so much more of an effort to have fresh fruit and to have vegetables incorporated into the diet. But it's the lifestyle. I love sharing this, Phyllis. I was about to do 2 interviews. I took an hour. I said, I'm going to go to the cafe in the square and have a little lunch. And I took my notebook and I'm writing down what I'm going to be questioning the guests with. The waiter came over to me. He said, put your work away and enjoy your lunch. And I thought, I am eternally grateful to you. And I gathered my paperwork up. I stuck it in my briefcase. I put my sunglasses on and I just ate and people watched and enjoyed the square and the birds and the fountain. And I thought, this is what that's what healthy eating means, is eating, with purpose and with quiet and enjoying with everything that's going on around you. And that's the key. You reach a certain point in your life, you should not be shoving food in the car onto the next appointment. You have a right to take a nap. You have a right to sit down for 5 minutes after eating lunch. You have a right to eat slowly. You have a right to take a day off. These are all things we never thought of when we were younger. And that ties back into not caring what people think. I don't care if you think I'm old and lazy and slow. I'm going to take a nap. I don't care if you think I'm not, wearing the latest fashion or eating the trendiest food. I'm doing what's good for me. And that's not at anybody else's expense. That's to nobody's detriment. That's to my wellness.
You are just amazing to me. So give me the dates and the breakdown on this wonderful summit coming up.
Thank you. Yes, so we devised my team. I have an editor and a publicist working with me on it, and it does take a village for sure. And we put together this summit. It's an afternoon, November 17th. It's a Sunday in New York City at the New York City Seminar and Conference Center on 26th Street. And we are, it's 1114 West 26th Street. And it's an afternoon, a love fest about it's okay to be old. We're going to have speakers about wellness. I have a holistic dentist coming to talk about your overall wellness, how you eat, how to take care of yourself. I have a professor coming to talk about epigenetics, which is the science of can you take your genetic predisposition and work with it to become healthier at an older age. And that science is astounding. We have a former wounded Vietnam veteran who was down and out and became a New York State administrative law judge and a personal injury lawyer. And he's in his late 70s, and he's going to talk about living with purpose. We have a dating coach, a relationship expert, who's going to come and talk about what it's like to date at an older age. And I have a very, very special guest coming. Her name is Melissa Davey, and she retired at 65 and always wanted to be a filmmaker. And she since has made 2 documentary films about women over 60. And one of them is about a 72-year-old rock climber who's now world ranking in her 70s. Could you imagine? So these are all inspirational stories to let people know that maybe at 77, you can't become a Major League Baseball player, but you can volunteer at a softball league, or, someone who wants to make a film. Maybe you won't become Steven Spielberg, but you can certainly get on a set or do something in the entertainment industry. So the barriers to what you want to achieve in your life at any age are starting to come down. And I hope to be the driving force in that. I also want to make this a community where you can come and be around like-minded individuals that help you feel good about where you are at any age.
And you can buy the book, It's Okay to Be Old by Patricia Greenberg. Thanks so much, Patricia. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Phyllis, it's been delightful. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here to share.
We've got a regular poetry and prose segment. Stay with us for author and poet Minx Boren.
Beyond middle age, a settling in, relaxing into what's so, lovingly, like curling into the well-worn corner of a familiar chair, with a sweet sigh of release, giving oneself permission at last to rest a while and perhaps savor the journey, memory by precious memory, warm and comforting as hot tea sipped slowly from a special cup. Beyond middle age, a settling down, a willingness finally to be here and now, staking a claim in the ground of one's life, feeling the richness of soil made fertile by simple acts of kindness and connection. After all the ambitious racing and chasing, at last a time to catch one's breath. Beyond middle age, a settling up of old scores as forgiveness finally tips the scale back toward love. A tallying of that which is good and fine, mining the vast depths of our days, dipping a bucket into the wellspring of all we have known, and finding our wisdom is worth its weight in gold. Beyond middle age, a settling like an old house that has shifted over time and now rests elegantly, yet ever so slightly askew. Tiny telltale cracks and creaks, a confession of imperfections, but also an affirmation of strength and resilience. No matter the disturbances to our foundation, we do not crumble and fall. Yes, of course, there are those things beyond middle age that we have settled for. But how foolish to dwell in that place of longing when, by shifting our gaze ever so slightly, the panoramic splendor of a life fully lived comes easily into view.